Alrighty, so before getting into the future of Access, we thought we'd talk a little bit about the present of Access. So first off, thanks to our sponsors. We were really pleased with how many sponsors we had this year. They represented a wide variety of sectors and services. These sponsors were instrumental in providing us with the space and the resources for the Hackfest, the conference and reception, the food, the lanyards, the live stream, and most importantly, the coffee. So let's give them a quick round of applause. So over the last couple of days, we've gotten a lot of really lovely compliments, for which we are eternally grateful. But we wanted to mention all of the fantastic humans that were involved and have given up almost a year of their lives to make this happen. So the steering committee, composed of Jillian Byrne. You don't have to clap for each of us. There's a lot of us, so maybe just wait until the end. Kim Pham. You can wave. Me, Ali Versluis, Sarah Lane, Michelle Arbuckle, who unfortunately is not with us right now, Jan Dawson, John Fink, who also couldn't be here with us, but you all know John Fink, Pam Jacobs, Andrew Lockhart, Randy Oldham, Jane Schmidt, and May Yan. So now you can do the clapping for all of us. Note that this is not an image of anyone on the organizing committee, but we felt it kind of represented the idea of organizing Access. So, you know, being like an intrepid warrior riding off into the wonder and beauty of Access, riding on the back of time and energy, that magical unicorn that we never quite have. We also wanted to thank everyone who donated to our first ever crowdfunding campaign for the diversity scholarships. We were able to send 3 people to the conference that normally wouldn't have been able to attend. That was really important to us, and we thank all of you guys for your fantastic support of that initiative. So give all those people a round of applause as well. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't thank the speakers and attendees of Access. So we were over the moon pleased with the diversity of the program and the attendee makeup as well. And you guys are the reason that Access continues to be successful year after year. So please give yourselves all a round of applause. Woo. Okay, now onto the fun stuff. Okay. So the future of Access, dun dun dun. Sorry, there's too many things going on here. So Access 2016 is going to, drum roll, thank you. You can continue the drum roll if you would like. There's multiple images. So for those of you who are not the strongest in identifying places geographically or by flag, dun dun dun. Yeah, UNB, Fredericton, woo! Alrighty, so I'm gonna pass it off to Jillian.
Oops, back. All right, so I really thought I would have the brain power to do this. Don't really, but we'll try anyway. We had a great time organizing it, and the conference has been amazing. But it's really, really hard. And it's hard, particularly on the financial side. And you know, I ran the finances this year, and I have spoken to the previous people who are in the room, and hopefully will contribute their experience as well. There's some limitations to the way Access is done that are both its strength, so it has no organizing band, you know, or no organizing party. It's very loose, it's very flexible, it can meet local needs, but it also makes it extremely tricky and I think rather risky for the organizers. So having to take on the personal risk and having to do the finances, there's a lot of decisions, particularly speaking to some of the former organizers. A lot of the local decisions we have to make because of the limitations. So each university, well, starting with the fact that pretty much only a university can run this conference because of the need to do the finances. And secondly, each university has their own rules. Mine are particularly complex and confounding, and I found it a little bit challenging to figure out. I was like, I have money, why can't I pay people? Challenging. And I think there's been some changes in the environment. I actually was, way back in the day, part of CLA. I see Amanda at the back and Amy. And that actually used to sponsor this conference and used to add a little bit of the administrative needs. Now we all know that has fallen off. And we've managed to keep it going because we have amazing people and we love the content and we love the programming and somebody steps up every year. But if that doesn't happen or if something goes wrong, there's very little room for error. So I wanted to sort of ask people what they thought about how we might look to see this organizing in the future. If people are fine with the way it's going, that's great. You know, we don't have anybody to specifically ask or be in charge. So I thought this conference would be a time that we could actually get together and maybe say, like, hey, is it time to look at incorporating? Is it time to look at some more structure? Are we okay with the way it is? What is it that we're needing and looking to do? So I'm happy to open that up to questions, comments, concerns, if there are any. Oh.
Hi, Jillian. Many of you are probably familiar with software carpentry. Recently, they budded off from the Mozilla Foundation, and they're in a similar position of having one paid admin person, and they became a registered not-for-profit in the States. So I don't know all the paperwork required to do that, but if we could get some seed external funding to pay a lawyer to do paperwork, we could possibly do that, and that gives us a lot of tax, you know, some leeway in that area. We can take out loans.
Have a bank account.
Have a bank account. And it's probably not sustainable to keep relying on individual institutions to step up.
You guys were also vocal when I was talking at the reception and everywhere.
Great job this year, guys.
Thank you.
So Mike Giarlo and I a few years ago now, started Curate Camp and ran into a much smaller version of the same problems. We partnered up with DLF to use them as our bank, and it worked out really well for that sort of stuff because they know how to do venues and they could the insurance sucks,
Yes.
trying to get exactly that sort of thing. So I'm not sure. I know DLF has been south of the border focused some, but there's a lot of it up here, and we're going to be in DLF's going to be in Vancouver this year. But we found them to be a great partner, and they were good for that. Maybe there's more things like that you could partner up with, but that helped a bunch for us.
Exactly. Thank you. Well, I thought ahead that maybe some of the conversations I was having in smaller groups weren't going to happen in the larger group, and because I am an administrator, I plan things. So what I thought we could do, because we're not a formal organization, and we don't really have a formal structure to make this happen, I thought we might look to a small group of willing volunteers to investigate sustainability models. So there's the partnership model, there's an incorporation model, there's a couple of different ways that we could look at making that sort of sustainability piece, particularly on the finance side. And Access makes money. It's not that we are in trouble financially by any stretch of the imagination. It's just very, very challenging to put on because of the way that the money changes hands each year. Then I thought, with the willingness of our wonderful UMB hosts, we might have another session like this next year to actually talk about the results of that and see if there are recommendations that we want to work on. I wouldn't want to do it any sooner than that because we have the proposal in and we want UMB to work on the same model that they thought they were applying for. But I thought that would give us enough leeway to look at some of the some of the different models and maybe make a proposal next year. And I realize that none of you are joining the Access organization, that you come here for the conference, and I think that's wonderful, but I think there is a strong community and there's a strong history of attendance, and there are people who are really interested in making this happen and making this sustainable and not sort of breaking the backs of volunteers. So I guess I'm looking for some sort of yay, go. I see 2 thumbs up from Declan, that's it, done. So what I will do is we will probably use the official account and do some little reach out to see if there are people who are interested. I'm thinking 4 or 5 to actually do the work over the next year, and I would be certainly happy to participate. And we will work with UNB to maybe do some decision making next year. Sound reasonable? Oh, there's a hand.
Yeah, I'd just like to suggest for the volunteer group or for the ongoing sustainability of the volunteers, the watch one, do one, teach one methodology for your sustaining volunteers seems to be a really good model to follow.
Yeah, and we were extremely lucky. We actually had a conference call with the last 4 organizers, many of whom are in the room, because there were different challenges each year, and everybody's been very willing. We took a piece of documentation we thought was not really well done this year, and we beefed that up, so that's going to be passed on. And I agree that that's a really great way, and it's worked quite well in terms of the support you get from everybody around. And that is the wonderful thing, I think, about organizing this, as challenging as it was at times. Mostly for me, because the money is the terrible part. But I think that is really important, you're right. All right, well, based on the 2 thumbs up, which we will record in the official minutes, we will proceed, and you'll hear more on this. And again, thank you to everyone who participated, who's on Twitter, who's on the live stream, who's organized it. Everybody here has been amazing, and we've really enjoyed it. And we're not even quite done, because we got Amy right after the break. Thanks.